Since there's 209.
Do you happen to know who bought that whole time?
I don't think I've ever sold it.
From Russell.
They were here.
No, they're gonna be ones tomorrow.
Oh, I thought you said names.
No, I know that.
I don't actually. No, I knew that a couple of them were that and the Turtle River gas station. There was like three that were on like Artisan or something.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
the
know.
one at 71 Martin's, or was that the gas station there?
Together, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know who bought anything.
Went on auction, yeah, I was just kind of getting the auction signs gone. I was kind of curious, well, it's too bad, the place was open for
Christmas.
more than 30 years. Who bought it, Mike?
That's a gift and hand, so.
Okay, so it didn't go back to the bank. It needs, I mean, a great
I had a
location.
customer. He goes, like, he gets grabbed, fixed his street, so I had it. They want to be two T-bones. They're like, that.
Hey, John.
Well, the original owner,
Hamburger.
cause that used to be my neighborhood, so, I mean, he had it for over 30 years. Cause I've been here 30 years, so he had it before we moved to River. Yeah. Yep. Well, Jake says that he used to run my catering business out of there.
Okay, 6 o'clock, I will call the meeting to order. Christina, you have the roll.
Yep.
I will dispense with the pledge of allegiance unless there's an objection. Can we move on to approval of tonight's agenda?
Remember, we're doing the public hearing first, correct? Okay, I just wanted to bring you back up to speed in case you got too far out of yourself.
Hey, if you miss a meeting, you're off your day.
That's why I was. Two agendas tonight, sorry, Max.
Yep. Well, then in that case, we will, if everyone could please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Very good. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for
Bring you back to zero?
bringing me back to zero.
Right.
I love it.
Anything.
All right, description of the project.
This time I'm going to defer to Widseth. I've got the slides, Steve and Tim, so.
Okay.
Because I don't have enough jacks in my computer to give you the clicker and this. So let me know what you want to do.
Go through this, so, well, the council's heard all about the project already, but this is a requirement that we have through the facility plan submittal that we have through the MPCA, so it's just to provide background information for the public and to address any comments that are raised during this process. So you go to the next slide. And in this particular case, we're just going to be discussing the wastewater system improvement needs that we have within the city. There's also water and system improvements that we need, but that will be covered under different funding, and that's through a different application. So with regard to the wastewater, these are the various locations that we have improvements that will be done throughout town. You can see there's some in the city proper itself. There's also some improvements that are needed at the wastewater treatment facility and also at the irrigation land application site. And so what we have is we prepared a facility plan that's required as part of the funding, and the facility plan covers the project need, the alternatives that we've discussed, and what we've narrowed down to the proposed project. There's also preliminary costs associated with each one of those. We've listed funding and user rates. Those aren't necessarily covered in the facility plan, but we'll discuss those tonight with the public. Regarding the wastewater system needs is with regard to the collection system, we have a dated system. There's quite a bit of the facility in town that is still vitrified clay pipe. That's from like the 40s and 50s. And that stuff has met its useful life. There's some of them that are undersized as well. 8-inch is a minimum that we have based on 10 state standards that we use for design of these. Some of these are 6-inch. The lift stations in town are all pretty old. There's a lot of deficiencies that are noted. We're already moving forward with some of those. But a lot of the ones, or all of the ones that are out there don't meet 10 state standards. So there's need for improvements with those lift stations. With regard to the wastewater stabilization ponds, there's a good portion of riprap that's already covered around the embankment. What we have seen historically in the past is the MPCA wants that protection a little bit higher. So we've included that with this particular improvement. So there will be additional riprap around the stabilization ponds. The pumping station at the irrigation site is old. And again, there's a lot of deficiencies there. There will be some updates to that with regard to piping and pumps. And we also have additional land that we're looking at. In the maps that you'll see, we have identified a 40. That may or may not be the exact 40, but what we've identified is that we want to add 40 acres to our irrigation disposal site. The alternatives that we had looked at, one of them is to do nothing. That doesn't make any sense because it doesn't fix any of the deficiencies and the issues that we have in the city. We had also taken a look at leaving the vitrified clay pipe in place and doing what's called a cast in place procurement, where we put a liner inside the pipe. That really didn't make sense. And so another alternative was the comprehensive reconstruction, where we look at replacing the dated pipe. We're going to rehab or replace the lift stations, and then doing the wastewater treatment and the system irrigation upgrades that we have. And so the comprehensive reconstruction project is the one that's being proposed. What that consists of then is around 10,400 lineal feet of sewer that we're replacing, that will be replaced with PVC pipe, which is current standards, and there's 90 manholes that we have to replace in town. All of the lift stations that are in town will get new piping and new pumps. And electrical control systems, that's another thing that we had noted. There's some meters that we need to out of the main lift station at the irrigation site. And there will be the replacement of the Drake lift station by the Drake Motel. And we'll add a generator at the main lift station because there's not currently a backup power, which is critical at the time that we have inclement weather and things like that. And we're also going to add 2 portable generators that the city can use at the other various lift stations. This is just a graphical depiction of the sewer lines that will be replaced. They're in red. And it's hard to tell, but there's little red circles around there too with the various lift stations that we're going to rehab. So with regard to this, with the wastewater system, the ponds themselves, again, the irrigation pump station is going to be replaced. All the piping, all the pumps, and the electrical controls. The pivots are going to be replaced. They've met their useful life as well. We're looking at adding an additional 40 acres. And we know that the current site has limited drain tile. So we've said that based on what we know, we're going to add additional drain tile on the land that we're acquiring to make it more useful. And we had talked about there will be control structures on the wastewater treatment ponds too that will need to be replaced. I think maybe just the inside. I don't know. I can't remember if it's the whole structure or just the inside. But we'll let you look at that. In either case, those control structures will be updated. We talked about the riprap, and then the telemetry system. What that is that's the controls that are put at the lift stations so that it will allow public work staff to communicate with the lift stations and find out what pumps are running, are they alternating, what hours are they running, and what are they pumping. So it'll be very useful for the public works in the future. This is just a graphical depiction of where the wastewater ponds are and where the land application site is today. And this just shows the irrigation pivots. And again, there's a depiction of a 40-acre parcel to the east. We don't know that that's necessarily going to be the exact 40, but we'll look and see which one makes more sense and where we get willing participants. Regarding the cost of the system, replacing and upgrading the collection system is a little over $4.2 million. The pump stations, the improvements associated with that are a little over 1.2. And at the wastewater facility itself, it's another 3.2 million. So you're looking at around $8.7 million in improvements needed for the sanitary system. So with that, then we're obviously looking for funding. There's different sources that we can try to acquire funding from. The public facilities is one of them. And we're already on the project priority list and the intended use plan for the water. And with this public facility plan is we're getting on the IUP for the wastewater. So then that will open it up for clean water revolving fund and water infrastructure fund for PFA. Other sources, we're also going to put an application into RD, which I'm hoping to work with Ryan this week and start that application so we can get that in very soon. And we'll also try to utilize small cities development grant, but that's capped at $600,000. And there will be some funds that are required from the city because depending on what funding source you get, there is an allotment. You can only replace 20 feet of street, depending on the funding source. And so if there's any street that's needed to be replaced outside of that, that would have to be at a city expense. So that's why we list city. This is the project schedule. Again, we don't really know exactly when funding is going to be available. We just know that it has changed quite a bit. I think the funds that are available are a little bit less. So the public hearing is now. And we do have the preliminary engineering report that we had gotten off to the MPCA through the facility plan. Now we'll get that into RD. And what we're hoping is by this fall, we'll hopefully get a review. I just know that RD has been backed up. I think they've been taken over a year to look at projects. So we may not have any indication this fall. We'll just have to see what they can do. So that's why we kind of said that you may not see any construction until 28 on this thing, just knowing that we're kind of dealing with some shortcomings on our governmental side with having resources of staff and funds. So what that means is when we look at funding, then the median household income comes into play quite a bit. And, you know, the good news, bad news is we have a pretty low median household income in Blackduck, which helps us out from a funding perspective. So with that, then what they're looking at is typically there's a minimum they want to see come back in rates. And what that does is it helps pay for the system moving forward so that we can maintain it. When you're looking at PFA funding, just for the sewer portion, they would want to see a minimum rate, monthly rate of $42.50. If it goes to RD, they're a little bit higher. That's just changed here most recently. This is what they've indicated they're going to go to. I don't know that we have confirmation yet, but they're looking at a 1.75% times the median household income, which would mean the sewer rate would be a little over $53 a month. And if there was no funding at all, to just pay for the 8.7 million, it would be about $135 a month for this. So we're very hopeful that we'll get good grant dollars in the project. So these are just estimates. You know, again, we won't know until we get into the design of this and start getting bids and find out where this thing is really at. So that was a very high overview of the project. Does anyone have any questions?
I don't live in the city, but is that $53? Is that $53 plus your water usage?
Mhm.
So it's the base is $53?
Yeah, correct.
What is it currently?
It's 18 each for water and sewer for residential, 18 for multifamily, and
So is this gonna
Well,
be
that's a base
53 each
Yeah,
for
that's our
water
base
and
rate.
sewer, or just 53 for sewer?
that's just
Well,
sewer,
that's just sewer.
because that's all we're talking about is.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the water numbers yet.
Okay.
So it would be 53 for sewer plus 18 as if that maintains the same for water.
Well, that will likely go up too.
That would go up
I'm
too,
guessing
because
the
we're not,
city's not gonna get enough currently to maintain the system
Correct.
as well.
That would go up as well.
Yeah.
If the timeline on financing or funding from RD or small cities gets pushed even further, is the city required to have another public hearing and start this process over? Or is this gonna maintain that checkbox until next time?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. I don't know that we're trying to do another one, but I think we'll be good. But we'll just keep them apprised as, you know, we go through the process.
Absolutely.
Yep. How long is that expected to last? 50 years?
Yeah.
10 years?
Yeah, I think we use a life expectancy of 50, except roads, you know, roads are 20 to 25, but utilities are 50. Well, except for pumps, you know, pumps are maybe 20, 25.
You know, some of this is Main Street here, right? They just redid that 30 years ago. How come they didn't put those pipes up to standard then?
They probably weren't at their effective life 30 years.
Okay.
Tim, does Witseth do any funding like bonding bills and stuff like that with the state?
Well, you could look at special funding or bonding projects, but
Right.
there you kind of have to know your legislators a little bit too. So I think it depends on the relationships you have.
Well, I mean, if we're pushing out till 28 or 29, then, you know, it wouldn't hurt to start making a few phone calls.
Exactly. I would agree. Yep. Any other questions?
This has to be done, or it can not be done.
Well, there's always a do nothing option.
That's what I'm saying. There is a,
But
I mean, is
you know,
there, you say there's deficiencies, is there substantial deficiencies currently that are causing issues?
Well, there are things that you want to pay attention to. You know, we talked about undersized mains and the fact that they're vitrified clay, so they're taking in water, which we call inflow infiltration. So you're treating water that you don't normally have to treat. We have water mains in town that are 3-inch. They should be 8-inch. So, you know, that's are the deficiencies and they're legitimate and you've met your effective life. So this project has to happen at some point. It's only gonna get more expensive as time goes on, so whenever we can get it done, we need to get it done.
And the process to try to get funding and to get this whole project, this study done, I think we're on almost year 3.
Yeah, I've
Charlie?
seen it's 3 years out.
Yeah, so, and then from this point on can take even longer, so we had to start at some point just to even get the ball rolling.
And the city's even been working on this longer than 3 years.
Yeah, I think it's been since like COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
it's taken us a long time just to get to this point.
And it's not unique to Blackduck. You know, a lot of smaller communities face the same thing where they have limited tax base and massive improvements that are needed, so.
Right.
Just the inventory of the infrastructure alone has taken a good 2, almost 3 years. And that's of the whole city.
Okay,
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Ron?
That should conclude what we need.
So I think, did we cover the question and answer portion, or shall I ask for questions from the public again?
I think you just did, so.
Okay. Consider that times 3 and we're good. Seeing no more.
I move we adjourn the public hearing and convene the regular city council work session scheduled for today.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
I,
Aye. We're back to the work session that I originally started.
we circled around.
Now we can approve tonight's agenda, correct?
I'll approve tonight's agenda.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Lift station renovation timeline.
Steve, Emery and I just had a quick chat email last week. I just wanted to provide, the council in that communication that we had, just so that we kind of had an idea of where we were moving forward in the next couple of months with the lift station project that we've been discussing. If everything pans out the way we need to, they're gonna meet with Mike and do some, design work and start working on looking at the Drake Motel lift station and how we can continue moving forward. Hopefully we'll be able to do some bidding here shortly. So I just wanted everybody to be aware of that timeline that we're shooting for, right, Steve?
Yeah, I guess I didn't put it in the letter, but so we're planning to come up with our design team next Wednesday. Kind of meet with Mike, kind of review the lift stations, discuss scope, so we can, you know, get all necessary measurements, whatever we need, so we can start preparing plans and specs. And again, our goal would be to try to have plans and specs completed by the end of May if we can, and then, you know, get it off the bid, so.
Sounds good to me. Okay, anything for Steve on that one?
No.
Okay. We can move on. Police department,
I'm just leaving that place card on the agenda next in case anybody wants to share any feedback they've gotten from you in the community or otherwise. I have one item I can share, and I had a really good conversation with the city administrator from the city of Cass Lake. She shared with me their contractor joint agreement with Cass County because they do their policing for their city. And I can get that to the council at some point to share for a draft if they wish, but they've been doing that for, I think Sue said almost 5 years, and it's been working out really, really well. They went from having like a $500,000 budget to what, 100. So it's been better for them. It's been better.
okay, anybody else have anything they want to add this time?
I've heard nothing from anyone about,
Okay.
they're either way.
All right, yeah, just keep it on there, Christina.
Okay.
Library,
So the library store gave me a quote for the exterior outdoor book return that we want to replace in the project. I have that bid for you guys to review. This is the same company that we're getting all our shelving from. Pretty much tracks with what I budgeted for. I'll give this to the council to review and potentially approve at the May council meeting, if there's no objection. I also wanted to report that the meeting with the Board of Education grantees went really, really well. They loved what we've done in the building, being able to sustain the exact same square footage, but yet bring everything to where we needed it to be. Pretty much check that box for the grant inspection. They don't need to come back. We're gonna work on getting some bids to replace the gutters on the building, and they agreed that that would be part of the construction portion of the grant, so we can use the money for that. In addition, and I'll talk about it later on, as I noted before, the Department of Revenue confirmed that we will get the full $100,000 of sales tax from the local option sales tax. It's not the net difference with the administrative costs. So we're looking at potentially like a September close date of that percent. Any questions on the library?
Were they going to seamless gutters?
I have a meeting with one vendor tomorrow, so I'll let you guys know. I looked at a couple different ones, so yes, but I think they already are, but yes.
yeah, I think the book return looks good. It seems like a sticker shock price, but we have the money coming in. It's,
Yep.
you know, the taxes coming in, and I think we need to get a high quality one that's 100% weatherproof.
And not been run over by a car a couple
Yeah,
of times and
I
knocked out
don't know
the
what's over there,
foundation,
but
yeah,
it's.
but
I
the
don't know
doors
if that
open.
was originally designed as a book return, but the thing that's nice about this one, it has a cart inside so they can be wheeled in without herniating yourself, carrying books in and then put back. And I assume we're going with the blue one, I hope, because they list a tan one, or gray, but that would blend in with the snow for about 9 months of the year, so. Blue is, you gotta have something visible so people know where to throw things,
Fluid.
And not run into it.
yeah, so.
So are they going to relocate it to a different spot so that it's not necessarily?
Yeah,
going to be a
actually,
truck
Mike and I have been
anymore?
talking about hopefully being able to do something around where the entrance and the stairs are, so it's pushed back from the sidewalk a little bit more.
And with that, any other questions on the library? Okay, well, then and May is still the shelving.
I haven't heard anything from the vendor yet. I'm kind of late. She was on vacation last week when I asked for the quote for the book return, so I'm gonna wait and then I'll follow up with her
Okay.
first part of the month and see where we're at, so. My guess is I'll probably have like maybe a 1 week window of knowing it's coming.
So like 2 days then really.
Well, like if it's a
Okay.
week.
Good enough. I was hoping Bruce was gonna be here tonight for the duck, but he's not. For the duck restoration stuff. Mike, have you found anything? No, it's still too wet.
Nope, I got nothing for you there.
Okay. Then we'll move to E, Christina.
So the committee has been meeting, you read the last minutes.
Mhm.
We came up with a layout for a new facility that we'd like to start having conversations about. Mike took it upon himself to come up with an idea of how a layout of a new building would look. And as you saw in the minutes, our first conversation about abandoning this location and rebuilding into a new location would most likely be on the railroad property where the recycling is,
Mhm.
since we already own it further east. But, we'd like to keep talking about this in committee to see if this is really where we want to go with it. But right now, putting more money into this building has become, the point of it not worth it. So the committee's in more of a position of, we might as well start over and start looking at what it's going to cost to start over. But we came up with a really nice idea. Mike laid it out with having separate chamber areas that are more suitable for larger crowds, audio visual, that type of thing, as well as like an area with a small kitchenette so that if we needed to like maybe rent the space out, we could. And more storage space, all one level use instead of a lower level that is unusable. More secure. A couple of other things too. Public restrooms as well as private restrooms. That type of thing.
And proposing, just as off the cuff here, it was 60 by 60 is what?
That's kind of what we came up with. Yes, to give the chambers area good enough space plus storage, utility, and office space, meeting space. But, we do floor heat instead of what we're doing right now.
We had that in the facility assessment too, if you looked at the new building.
I think you did.
I can't remember.
I don't remember the size, though.
50 square foot, something like that.
Winter, your electricity bill is how much here?
Typically in February, that's the coldest month. It's usually around $800 to heat this building.
That's without the boiler. using
Right.
The boiler, that's 100% electric.
Yep.
Part of the electrical plans, I believe, we still approved the expense to rehook the boiler up to the
Yes.
time of use.
Yep.
Mhm.
Hopefully that'll come out with some positive for the building in the short term. So just wanted everybody to know that we're having those conversations. When we come up with some more information, we'll share it.
Okay. You feel it's been fairly productive, it's been productive, you guys are making headway?
Yeah,
On the committee?
yeah, it's not like we're sitting at the pond or anything.
Oh, okay. I just wanna make sure you actually feel like you're, you know, like.
Moving
something's-
forward.
Something's getting done.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't meet for hours, but we definitely are
Right.
kind of on the same page.
Well, then I got nothing else on that. At the moment. MDH grant.
So this is that SWP implementation grant that we applied for in October, got funded this year. And I finally got the final grant agreement from MDH, so we can start moving forward with those projects that we can implement because we got that $14,000. So I had sent you an email about if Widseth is gonna do the administration portion of those projects. The one that we need to probably advertise for is the fencing around well 8. Cause there was 3 administrative ones. Most of them are like zoning, ordinances, instructions and, education at the school and at the public. And I don't know how that's gonna look yet, but, we might as well move forward with the fencing project now that the grant is approved, because I think we only have until the end of 27,
February, yeah,
February of 27 to complete it. So that construction portion needs to happen this summer.
Yeah, so we were just going to ask you which of those you would want assistance.
Okay,
Just let us know.
I will. But I would like to start looking for a couple of estimates on that fencing.
Yeah, because based on the documentation, I don't necessarily know that you have to get quotes, but I would suggest you get 2 anyway.
I'll get 2 quotes, but I don't think I need to do public bid on them.
Correct.
So,
Kind of in the, kind of the grant agreement, it says anything between 10 and 25,000.
yeah,
You need 2 verbal quotes.
yeah. So I'll,
Verbal, too verbal.
That's what
Yeah.
it says, 2 verbal, but I'd get them in writing.
I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, we'd ask for them in writing.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can get together before the May 4th meeting. The sooner we can get that on, a fencing company schedule, the better off we're gonna get it done this
Good
summer.
luck. How many feet do you need?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember.
What was the question?
How many
How many
feet?
feet are needed for that? Then,
How big is that fence?
We haven't laid it out yet.
no,
Okay,
that's what I said, I don't know.
Yeah. Because we'd have to make sure that there's a double swing gate in there so you can get maintenance equipment in there. phone pumps and things
Yeah.
like that.
That's the one thing I don't have is what the design needs to be and how high it is in order to get a quote.
Well, right, and that's something we'll want to talk about, you know, there should be some information to go out and get quotes, it should be the fence type, you know, material. Doesn't have to be full moves, plans and specs, but at least enough documentation.
How many
to
gates
show
you want?
consistent
What size?
quotes. Yeah.
material.
Mhm.
Anything else on that? Okay,
Yeah.
Linda,
So Ethan reached out to me and provided me a draft with his project memo for that 2008, I believe it's still on 2008's project when they do 71 and 72. And if you remember, he came to us and said the lighting is gonna be the city's responsibility. Well, they've changed their policy as of February 26th, and as a result, MnDOT will be able to give cities a greater ability to have the lighting and they don't have to pay for it. What we do have to do is we have to pay for the removal. They'll do it, but directly offsets the cost of having to buy new poles and everything. We still get to keep the old ones in case we need them.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yep, but they'll take the other ones down. We'll pay them a fee to take the other ones down, and they'll put the new ones up at their cost. So we don't have to pay for that portion, which we were gonna levy for anyway in 28, which could have been somewhere between 11 and 20 grand. So that's a good thing.
We can't get them to do the crosswalk striping? Huh?
I think we decided that that was not gonna happen.
Yeah, that would, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
I go with what
Still,
Mike said last time, which was we don't maintain any crosswalks now. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Because
Not
they,
on state highways.
No,
right, but what about the county roads?
The county comes and does these ones
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So we don't
We don't do
maintain
them.
county roads. Why on earth we would be maintaining a crosswalk on a US highway? Do you and Chris want to get out there and stop traffic to repaint the crosswalk? I don't
Not
think so.
necessarily,
Yeah,
but
so we're not skilled in that, so.
I don't think we have much option according to what they're telling us.
because it says right there, maintenance,
No.
city of Blackduck.
There's two sections there. One of them says cross striping, and then two paragraphs up where it says sidewalks, it says cross street pedestrian crosswalk marking, so. The north-south crosswalks would be on the county road at that intersection, but the
So you're
run,
gonna,
the ones that run across 71 are on a US highway with 65-mile-an-hour traffic, so.
no.
45. It's 45
Yeah.
there.
That's what the sign says.
I don't know, you know, don't get out there very often.
That's,
45.
the sign is correct, yes.
Just so
Anyway.
you guys know, Ethan did tell me that they're still only like 30% in their planning stages of this project, so a
So it
lot of
could
stuff
still
could
be-
change. His biggest thing he wanted to make sure he communicated was that the policy had changed, and that changed drastically what our portion of the project costs.
So it still could be a roundabout.
There could, no, I don't think there's gonna be a roundabout of that max. No,
Well, to me, it makes kind of sense. If you want to get people to drive through Blackduck, you put a roundabout out there and they're gonna turn into Forestry.
Yeah,
Or for people that go 65, they jump.
Yeah, you know, they might, then it would be 45 there, Ron. I kid. All right. So we'll sign that away, huh? New business.
I thought Julie was gonna be here, so Charlie is in here.
Charlie's in
For the
charge.
pickleball
They
club,
substitute?
to discuss that proposed location, right?
okay, yeah.
Sort of.
I mean, I don't know how the city council knows anything what's going on. We
Little
have-
backstory, Charlie, just to bring everybody up to speed.
Yeah, so we have a pickleball club in town. And we've been looking for a location to put some courts, pickleball courts. We used the school a couple years ago. It really was not very advantageous. So we've been talking with Sanford on some property over by the clinic. That really has not gone very far. We have looked at, some of the members of the group went down and looked over at the Wayside Rest. And on the south side of the Wayside Rest, to the east of the gazebo there, the Wayside Rest gazebo, there's a pretty big lot there. Open space that could fit some pickleball courts. It would not interfere with the snowmobile trail. And anyways, our objective, or what we're seeking to do is put in, we would like to do 4 courts, but financially, that would be difficult, so maybe 3. They're approximately $25,000 a court put in.
That's asphalt,
What's that?
that's asphalt?
Asphalt, fencing, preparation.
Okay.
You know, that, nets. These would be open to the public for everybody to use. You know, it's not something that we want to gate off or anything, but they'd be at fencing, so that the balls don't go into the ditch and stuff like that or out on the road. Currently, there's a fair amount of people that are going down from Blackduck here, that are going down to Bemidji to play on a 3-time-a-week basis. The school in the summertime gets a fair amount of calls from people that are visiting resorts and stuff, asking if there's places to play. And I guess we're just asking the city if they would be willing to look into us using that area. We are not asking the city for any money. We do not want to be a financial burden to the city in any form. Can I say that we would never, ever want help from the city and, in some of the maintenance people doing something there? That would be stupid for me to say that, because there may be times when we might want help with something, but we would be looking at maintaining it and taking up the wind skirting and taking that down, and that would be, the club's responsibility. Like I said, we're not really asking for any financial help,
You guys are a nonprofit, Charlie?
I wouldn't even say that we're that. I don't know if we're even a 501c or whatever.
Sure.
We're a club, we have some money. I know, and Matthew Jetica, who I think is employed by the
EDC.
Okay, he had contacted me earlier this year and said that he would be looking to do some grants and whatnot. But again, before any of that happens, we really need
A location.
a location.
So the
you know.
Sanford property is off the table now?
Well, I really don't, okay, so we were looking at a property that Sanford had that's non-taxed.
I gave him that aerial because I thought that's what we're.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
that's non-taxed. If you have that aerial, that's all non-tax property and the city's not getting any tax money from it.
Yeah.
Sanford had it appraised, it was appraised at $5,600. They said they would sell it to us for $5,600.
Now, this is the parcel that you sent us the image of?
I did.
Yes, they would not, and when I
They're
responded to it,
definitely the owners, because when I went on the Beltrami County website, it says it was owned by the Evangelical Lutheran Good Samaritan Society.
And Sanford owns them.
Yeah.
Oh, Sanford owns that.
owns this Good Sam. And when I talked to Sanford, I talked to the administrator of the nursing home and their property manager out of Colorado, wherever he's from. That's who I've been emailing.
Mhm.
They said the value is $5,600. That's what they would sell it to us for. I asked them if they had any kind of community development program, whatever, that they'd be willing to loan or lease or give or whatever. I had no response from them. So I feel like it's off the table. I mean, $5,600 is not a lot of money, but again, I'd rather use $5,600 to develop the property than to buy a property.
Sure.
But
And you also have a wetland right next to that parcel, which might
You got
cause.
that everywhere.
Right.
some-
we did have somebody do some sample boring of the property, and it's pretty stable land. And they said there wouldn't have to be anything dug up, it just might need to be filled.
So it would need to be fenced, right?
Yes, our fencing, that $25,000 per court is concrete and fencing.
Okay.
Per
How
court.
high are the fences around pickleball?
That would
courts?
be like 10-foot high fences,
Okay.
Wow.
so.
Yeah.
And a court, for those who don't know about pickleball, so a court is 20 feet by 44 feet. But then you need boundary, because you can't just fall off the edge. So you could be 30 by 60 is okay, but 34 by 64 is what they want for like tournaments and stuff like that.
So the property that you're talking about, is that part of the rest area? And who
It
owns
is
it
part of
now?
it. Who owns the
We
rest
do.
area?
No,
We do.
who owns the property? You're talking
The
about
city. does.
city rest area property.
You're right.
Okay, the way you
And
described
it's-
it, that was unclear.
Where if you come in, you got the gazebo, it'd be just to the east of that. There's from that to the gutter,
Mm.
there's a big piece of property there. You could get 4 courts in there.
Along the side there?
along the side,
So
away
you're
from the road.
talking-
Is that where the
Gazebo.
pond was gonna go?
Yeah, so you're talking the gazebo on the south side of that, not the one in the.
Not the one in the middle, I'm talking about the gazebo, the visitor center gazebo,
Oh, yeah, cause I was just looking.
the
at that.
visitors center office.
Cause didn't we have a,
He's talking about, we currently have a force main under there and we're potentially looking at a stormwater pond.
right,
Oh, okay.
that was
Well,
my,
is
I
that-
was like, wait, I think that's the right spot, but I don't always have my GIS in my head isn't always very
Yeah,
accurate.
we'd have
but-
to get specific with the drawing because, you have done, here before, but
Right.
we had a stormwater proposal,
Okay.
the county stormwater folks, we kind of agreed to, and they're talking about a pond there,
Well, that would be it then.
yeah, so.
You want, I can pull,
But it
I'll
really
pull up
wouldn't,
GIS for
it
you.
really wouldn't change much of the. How much land there would actually be right there, would it?
Well, no, but it
That you
depends.
ponding?
We're putting a proposal in to help with the preliminary layout of that, so this is all the information I have.
Okay,
It just depends on how large an area we need for pond.
okay.
We have to go back and look what they
Yeah.
said.
sorry, Charlie.
That's fine.
I get that. Might even be a lot quicker if I do this on the computer.
What's your time
Right
frame
here.
you're thinking about?
You know,
You guys been trying to
So
do
that
this
would
for
greatly
years.
affect the wood carvers festival and, right?
well, you know, the thing is, you know, that was a thing we thought of too. But it would be, people still could put their
Stuff around it. or-
their stuff in it, because
Yeah,
we don't need to play pickup, if it's a wood cover Saturday, just close the courts up. Let them use it for something else. You know,
Oh,
sure.
yeah,
Well,
So-
it makes, you know, it makes sense.
There's a car shows there too, I mean,
so we're talking this property right in here. Isn't this the road right here?
Yeah.
You probably.
Oh, I thought you were
I
talking.
thought you were talking
I thought you were talking this gazebo here.
Oh, is that because, yeah, this, okay, so this is the piece
this
right
is
here.
the
yeah, there we go. I
that
was
would be
like,
it.
what?
the bad
Yes.
carvers.
Yeah, cause right now you've got a force main that kind of runs right through here.
So, you know, a couple times a year.
There's a main.
Close it.
Yeah, but it has a transformer.
So can you pave over, I mean?
A force main for sewer, then.
Well, the problem with that then is anytime you have to dig up that sewer again, you're digging up the ports and there's restoration.
It's
costs.
a force main being pumped sewage,
Right.
pressurized sewage, but we could just dig up the courts.
That'd be easy.
Yeah.
You'd be crying.
You have to park the game when we're done.
Exploration camp, we didn't know.
No, well, that throws that out then.
I
That
love
is-
the idea of pickleball courts.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
nice to have one.
And we
Just-
get
Can you
calls
bring
here at
this up?
City Hall to the people that come and use the campground for the summer one. I have
Christine, can
pickleball
you
too.
go farther up this?
I
road?
can, yeah.
Is there any room at the
Is
campground to
this
throw
area
pickleball in there?
here?
Well, that's, you know, I don't know how much of an area that is. Well, you know, what's along here, besides the dog area? I don't
Just
think
those,
that's long
just
enough.
those blossom trees.
There's electric that runs through
Okay.
those trees. over
Yeah,
there.
that's right. There is electric.
Can you
Is
go
there
farther-
room at
I
the
can, yep.
campground?
Go across the road?
Is there room at
You
the
bet.
campground for it?
I will. I will get there. Okay,
Okay,
I got it. I need my arrow. Hold on.
This is the piece of property we were talking about from San.
No, other
Yeah.
direction. Other
Oh, yeah,
direction.
right here.
This one.
is it, right here.
Yeah.
That would be that.
So you'd pay for that, but a lot of that property is swamp, so.
Right.
Which you could not fill in. I assume there's some wetland protection.
Oh, you can do.
Well,
it's Black Duck.
city of Bemidji fills
Do
it
whatever they
up,
want.
and every year the city of Blackduck.
You wouldn't be touching any of that wetland, you could still put 4 courts in that.
What's that?
You wouldn't have to touch any of that
No.
wetland there, you could still put 4
Right.
courts in that
Oh.
lot, and not touch anything.
Oh,
So,
Okay,
the benefit of that is you could use this, I'm sure they would not enforce the parking area, so you could use the center
Right.
parking area. Now,
and
when you,
I think there's still parking along here.
Along the street.
Yeah.
And in the
And
alley.
it's close to the restroom, the
And
public
Right
restroom.
across the
too.
street from that, because that was the piece of property that we were really interested in.
It's just unfortunate because, and I know Charlie said this to me too, is that Sanford is a really big proponent of activity. They're
Healthy
putting a
living.
lot of money into the YMCA down in Bemidji right now in order for that project to go forward. And for them to come back and say, yeah, pay us for a non-taxable piece of property is
Right.
kind of a slap in the face.
I thought it
And
was disingenuous.
That's
of them.
very, it's disheartening. So
Yeah.
we're just looking for something really small.
Mhm.
You know, maybe with that being said, maybe a letter from the city to the Sanford. You know, it's kind of funny, you know, this is. Our Bemidji pickleball group was playing and, I was commenting that to a person that played there, that I was playing with, and after he left, one of the other players said that I was just talking to the chairman of the board of Sanford. I didn't know what, I was complaining. So anyways, but they said if I send a nice letter to Karen, Dr. Karen,
Oh,
that,
sure.
that's what he told me. This chairman said, send a nice letter to Mr. Karen that Sanford might move forward with it. So,
Okay, that sounds like a no-brainer to at least try.
but anyways, just so the city council knows and whatnot, that we would like to do something. And the big thing for the city council is we don't want to make it a tax burden for the city. But we would like to have their approval on some stuff that we're doing.
Well, what's that property by Stretch between them and
Mhm.
We don't own anything.
on that
Out
side?
out there.
Okay.
I mean,
If you guys did, like write this nice letter and they were all changed their heart and said that they wanted to do that. If you guys had it through the committee, would it be almost better if they gifted it to the city then, so it's still under the city's name? Because otherwise, as you guys being a club,
Right.
not necessarily a nonprofit or really like an established club, whose name would put the property?
Right.
It'd be better almost to put it in the city's name.
Yeah.
I'm just,
spitballing.
yeah.
You know, just kind of heads up so the city council knows this. You know, and I'm not comparing Blackduck to Bemidji, but, so there's 6 courts at Algoma in Bemidji. And the pickleball club, puts up the wind skirtings, we take down the wind skirtings, we, do basically everything that we need to do, you know, to maintain the courts, except for, you know, the paving and whatnot, because they're kind of falling apart. And actually, Bemidji's kind of giving up on them, because the YMCA is they're looking at building 16 courts at the YMCA
And those will be inside.
outside. So,
Interesting.
but,
So they're gonna build 16 there and let the
No,
six
and
they have go to.
right,
Algoma's like always reserved
Yeah.
too, isn't it?
what's that?
Algoma's like reserved a lot by
Algoma's reserved a lot.
all the
Yeah,
time.
there's the pickleball club uses it 3 times a week, 2 times in the morning, or morning, evening, and then Saturdays. And, but there's, you know, they have 100.
So how many of you are driving to Bemidji then?
There's about 15 people from
Mhm.
Blackduck.
Yeah, so, but to me, it says, you know,
Yeah.
that's something to look into at least a little bit.
And Fox Lake Campground put one in this past fall
Yeah.
for their campground.
Cedar Rapids.
Cedar
put in
Rapids
2
has had one
courts.
up for 2 years now, and they offer that to their campers.
Yeah.
And we have had a lot of people calling, asking if we have one at our campground.
And
the last
do
2
we have
summers.
room to put one in our campground?
You know, the thing with, you know, I hate to say this, but the thing with them being at the campground is they're out of the way.
Mhm.
I don't think people would see them. I mean, campers might see them, but people in town, and if I'm playing if I come into Blackduck to play pickleball and then I'm out at the golf or out at the park, I might not come back into town to stop and have a beer at the pond or get gas at the gas station and stuff like that.
Walk up and grab your coffee.
Yeah, I mean, I think the closer you are, the better you are, but that's just my personal
Gotcha.
opinion.
So you're not interested in anything out that far, basically, right?
I wouldn't
Yep.
say no, but that's, yeah.
Yeah, if you're driving to Bemidji, if you got 15 people driving to Bemidji, this seems to be very centrally located. Like the positive points, like you mentioned, are parking is right there,
Restaurants,
and the restrooms
Yeah.
are right across the street.
Thing about
If you have a
pickleball
huge-
too is it's.
crowd, the Sanford parking lot is not gonna be patrolled in the evening, so.
There's,
sure they
there's no
will.
age
There's
limit
no
on
age
sport.
No, we
That's
have-
what we have to think about is
there's 80-year-old people.
everybody's playing this
Yeah.
game.
Charlie, if that's say it landed in your lap, can I ask how much money you guys have ready?
We have a couple $1,000.
So you can
Right.
do some active fundraising?
Yeah, we would have to do, but again, Matthew Jetica has said, that he'd be willing to help. And we do have a few people that are playing that do have a little financial means that have said that they'd be willing to help. So I think if we had property, had a vision, had a set goal, this is what we're gonna do, this is our plan, blah, 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 I think we could get some funds coming in. But again, like I said, I don't wanna be a tax burden to the taxpayers of Blackduck. That's not the objective. So,
Insurance. Policy, maybe that's coming into play.
We had that conversation. I don't
yeah, we
remember.
did,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have to be a lot like playing on a playground,
Mhm.
going to the beach. It would have to be, yeah. It's an open parked area if the city owns it, and then a liability is to that person that uses it, knowing that, anything can happen. Can't really come back at the city if they trip. They will, but
right,
yeah, as long as we're maintaining it like we maintain
Yeah,
everything
because
else.
it's not flagrant.
Correct. Yeah, like Charlie can't sue the city if he gets hit with a ball while he's playing, because he's playing.
Yeah.
It's different than somebody walking on the sidewalk and tripping on a crack. Even then, you gotta pick up your feet.
Any questions? Oh, and timeline,
We're on your
we would really like to see if we can get something going sometime this summer and have it, midsummer, if possible. Some of our pickleball club members have equipment to do stuff, and have commented they would put a bid in at a decent price and blah, 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 and so. But anyways,
I think if the property could get established
yeah,
and determined and made a decision on, then the project could actually go forward. That's a hang-up. That's the big challenge right now.
So the wayside rest is pretty much out because of what's underneath it.
And what's going in there.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, potentially, we can take a look at it. If we end up getting the schematic, we could see if that could get factored in. No guarantees, though.
Charlie, can you get me in touch with the person that you need a letter from?
Okay. Yes,
Because
I'll do the same. if you
yeah,
want.
we could
Okay.
draft a letter at least to Sanford asking for, some type of partnership with this, if the city, and I'm speaking out of turn, if the city were interested in
Right.
purchasing, obviously, but we need to.
They could put a Sanford sign on this, on the
Well,
fence.
geez, there's an idea.
Sanford pickleball court.
Just rename the town.
Not above selling.
Yeah.
well, thank you guys, appreciate the time.
Well, it's good to know. I didn't know there was that many. All right. What's next?
Mr. Eggers is here.
Sure, I guess.
Congratulations.
Thank you for your patience.
Good to see friendly faces again. It's been about a year or so since I've been here.
Yes.
Thanks for your service to the community. It's always a task to find people to do what you do. So thank you for doing that. It's every time we come to a council meeting, I'm heading out to failure after this one. It's always a good lesson of civic education. You ought to tape your meeting and show it to the civics class at the high school here. It'd be a good lesson for them. Well, as you know, I promote 100% graduation rate. I've been doing that for since actually 2017, but actually before that too. And how are we doing? Well, we're still not 100%. And I kind of chuckle because it's doable. It really is doable. Because kids want to graduate, parents want their kids to graduate, you want their kids to graduate, your kids to graduate. And plus the benefit for a community to have everybody have their high school diploma is just so tremendous. Not only with longevity, but also people have a high school diploma more willing to serve in your position. So it's just a good thing to do. And how do we do that? Well, I have a little story to tell you. I was in Clearbrook 2 weeks ago, passing out flyers to kids and so on during the lunch hour, and I'll be doing the same thing here in Blackduck within a week or two. And this one boy, 5th grader, comes up to me and he has a really fancy belt buckle. And I said, "Where'd you get that belt buckle?" He says, "A rodeo." "Oh, really?" He said, "Well, what do you do?" He said, "Bulls," he said. He rides these bulls. And I said, "Well, how long do you have to stay on a bull before you get credit?" He says, 8 seconds. 8 seconds. Wow. Riding a bull for 8 seconds. And I was thinking about that. And as it relates to 100%, it only takes about 2 seconds to tell somebody you need to graduate. And so that's your assignment. Find somebody in the community. It could be a niece or nephew, could be a son or daughter, could be a neighbor, could be a friend of your friends or whatever. And take it upon your responsibility to make sure that student graduates. If we all did that, we could have it done. We could do this. Well, the graduation rate in Minnesota has improved a little bit. We're still at total Minnesota graduate was 84%. And I have some of these to give Christina, the counselor, in a minute. 84% up, 84.9% up from 84.2%. The graduation rate in Beltrami County is 67%. Think about that, 67%. So we have a long ways to go. For white students in Minnesota, it's 85%. For Native American students in Beltrami County, it's 41%. And so we have a long ways to go, and I work closely with the Red Lake schools, and you have students from Red Lake and so on, and that's why I'm here. Bemidji area graduation rate is 80%. And for white students in Bemidji, it's 86%. I'm on the school board for Voyager's Expeditions Charter School. And we actually doubled our graduation rate. We went from 31% to 66% this past year. Blackduck has a graduation rate of 70%, down from 88% last year, 2024. And so what does it take to have a 100% graduation rate? Well, it just takes, just like I said, we just have to keep reminding kids it has to be part of their culture, part of their mindset to graduate, and just like it was for you. But it takes relentless energy to do that, And schools, we have great schools in Beltrami County, Clearbrook and Northholm, and I know they're working hard to improve their graduation rate. But the teachers need to work harder too, as well as the community needs to work harder. And so that's what we're trying to do. So your assignment is to find somebody and remind them to graduate. Your second assignment is, and I think we did this either last year, Maxwell or Christina, we had a proclamation that Blackduck did. Or
We did do that last year. I didn't put that together for you, John. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, let's try to do it this year. If we can do that to support high school graduation.
Sure, I can do that for the May meeting.
And if you wanted to invite the superintendent, principal, or whoever to do that. So anything we can do to showcase the graduation rate is important. And here are some posters that I'll leave Christina with you, and you can grab one. This is just, please remind students, graduation is up to us, and it really is up to us. Kids really do want to graduate, and when they don't graduate, their self-confidence suffers a little bit. Now you say, well, John, isn't it really up to students to make sure that he or she graduates? Well, in a way it is, but it's like my son. My daughter graduated on time. My son took 2 years beyond high school to graduate. He had 2 courses that he failed. He had to complete. And myself and my wife were relentless in telling John Carlos, you need to get this course done. And it took him 2 years to do it, but he did it, you see. So if it takes a student longer than 12 years, that's fine, just as long as they get that high school diploma. That's really what it's all about. And there are so many benefits of having a high school diploma that that it really is necessary that we do that, and we can do that. So think about this. Again, and what if Beltrami County was the only county in Minnesota that was the first to have 100% graduation rate? And it's especially critical because we have a high population of Native Americans, and they want their students to graduate. This is what we'll be giving to parents in the Blackduck schools. It says, parents, help your children graduate, start today. And it's an activity book that parents can do with their kids at home. And so we're doing this. Now, this was supported by the Red Lake Boys and Girls Club and the Red Lake Nation, which is good. So we don't, Project Graduate has never asked for any money. There's no money in our budget. We don't have a budget. And for something like this, we just asked a business to support it, and they're willing to do that. Now, we are trying something new this year, and that is that we have an alliance of businesses in Bemidji that about 10 or 12 prominent businesses that are, each of them are doing something to support 100% graduation rate. Now, if there was a business in Blackduck that wanted to be part of the alliance, I would be certainly glad to have them invite them to be that business, you know. And and then we meet just quarterly, you know, and we also have an advocate program. We have advocates now in 12 states and in 5 foreign countries. And how that came about was that I'm a former Peace Corps volunteer, and we have my Peace Corps returned volunteers are in 12 or 14 states in the United States, and so each of them agreed that they would do their best to promote 100% in their community too. And then I also work with 5 different countries. I'm teaching right now students in the Ukraine, and the teachers there have agreed to be an advocate for the program too, supporting the 100% graduation, make sure the kids graduate. So the news is starting to spread, but we're still not at 100%. Well, John, why not make the goal 90%? That's more doable. Remember, we're at 85% now in the state. Why not 90%? Well, we're still leaving 10% out. And so when we talk about 90%, there's somebody out there who says, well, I guess he's not talking about me because I may not graduate. So, but it has to be 100%. So we can do that. So I'm good enough to kill you. So anything I can tell you about any questions you have about the Project Graduate? I do appreciate you letting me speak to you annually and just give you an update. I hope I can come someday and say, hey, we did it. You know, we did it.
How was that hotline working out?
You know, Maxwell, that's a good question. The first person asked that question, this is like the 3rd or 4th now council, it's not working out. We tried it, I'm glad you remembered that, you know, because we tried it for 3 years. We had a hotline, and that students could call up if they were in trouble, struggling. They could call a hotline from 5 to 10 every evening, 7 days a week. We just didn't get enough response to that. And I think it was because, and I should have realized this too, that students are reluctant to call up on a phone and say, I'm in trouble. They just don't do it. Parents are more, I got more calls from parents than I did from students. And it was funded by the Red Lake Nation, Boys and Girls Club, and by myself. We funded the program. It just wasn't worth the effort. It's too bad, because I thought it was a good program, but it just didn't work out. So you try some things, they don't work, you don't. So.
Maybe a text line.
Yeah, kids text, they don't talk.
Well, that's it. And the social media is another, you know, so it's, it didn't work out, yeah.
Well,
If you have any other suggestions.
At least you learned that that it's not going to work.
Mhm.
Pardon me?
At least you learned it wasn't going.
Well, yeah, we learned something about it, and so it's interesting that the day that I canceled it, I told Vinci Communications we don't need it anymore for Paul Bunyan. And then I got a call. That night I got a call from
Of
somebody.
course they did.
I'm sorry, I can't help you. No, it's we're closed.
Oh,
Any other questions or anything?
Well, thanks for coming. It's nice to get an
Well, I
update every
appreciate
year.
any help you can do. And proclamation, remind kids to graduate. We can do it.
Yep, it's nice to get an update on the percentages.
Yeah,
which has
right,
been
and,
very helpful.
I have a handout here, Christina, with all percentages of the area schools on it. You can give it to the
I'll
council
be happy
members
to.
and any parents too. And there's also some handouts, posters put up there.
But I can still remember back in the ancient times when I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
People would disappear after the 10th grade and after the 11th grade.
Right.
And that last 1 or 2 years, developing their brains is a big
Right.
difference, because I still encounter some of
Yeah.
those people today. And
Right.
there's a big difference in
Right.
people that don't finish getting the
Yeah,
cranium developed for
Yeah.
those last 2 years. And
Yeah,
a
I'm
lot
not
of them are
sure-
working at manual labor.
I'm not sure if it's project graduate program or whatever, but in the last 10 years or so, school districts are more in tune to the graduation rate. And they're asked about it. They have to report it now to the state, and they talk about it more. And so it has become more of a concern to them, you know, how many of their students graduate.
Hmm.
And so that's good. That's good. That's what it has to be.
Thank you for coming, John.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
see you guys. Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for seeing. Proclamation.
Got it on my notes.
Ordinance terminating local option sales tax.
Yeah, so I mentioned this earlier in the old business. Max, this is just what it'll look like, just so that we actually declare a date of when that'll terminate. I'll have this to approve in June.
Okay.
That's the timeline that Department of Revenue and I kind of figured would work, because there's a 90-day notification window that DOR has to do.
Then I have to change my computing system again.
Yeah. Who does?
You
Okay.
do. The proposal for Blackduck with Ellers.
So this next thing from Ellers Public Finance, Public Finance is a consulting service proposal. I was made aware that so when we do a general obligation bond, it's a non-taxable bond. We have to send an actual report to the IRS stating that we're not going to gain interest or anything on the monies that come in that we use for debt obligation, project, whatever. Most of the time, anything that we debt, we pay either construction services, engineering services, we build something, whatever. All that, we buy a fire truck, money comes in, the money goes out. What this is it's a 5-year look back on those bonds that are fit within that parameters that has to be reported to the IRS, so that there's no interest being accrued in our funding on that money. I know that that's not the case, because everything we are required by the service agreements to have a project fund and then a debt service bond. And the debt service bond or debt service fund is the one where we either pull in money revenues or levy taxes in order to pay the debt back. The project fund should be zero once the project is done and we start paying it back. So what they're gonna do is they're gonna look back at the ones that are listed in here just to ensure that we followed the right guidelines. I thought that my contact put it into this contract proposal. He told me on the phone last week, it was like a $500 fee. They're gonna do this and file this to the IRS for us. So it is something we have to do. And God forbid the city of Blackduck have any reported fraud at all, but I would like to make sure that this gets done. And as soon as you guys approve the proposal, I can give Ellers the green light and all the information they need by reviewing our last 5 years' financial statements.
Okay, so that'll be in the consent.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we have to do it. They need
Yeah.
to keep us legal.
Correct.
As I read their outstanding debt, the total fee for the service is 10,000, is that right? Their base fee says as shown on client debt summary, and then page 4 says budget 2,500 4 times.
Oh, okay. Tell me what page you're on, because that's not what my costs that I thought were going to be communicated. That's in the proposal.
Yeah, page 4, there's a column Up in the orange, it says budget, it says 2,500, and on page 3, it says base fee as shown in on the client debt summary, so I assume that's what they're talking about.
I don't have the page with me. I will consult all of my documents before the proposal gets into the consent agenda, and if that is, I do not have it to confirm with you, Ron, I'll make sure that it's in the administrative report for you guys to ask.
Yeah, I just want to make sure
questions.
we know what we're approving.
Yeah.
And if it has to be done to keep us.
I know it wasn't a large fee, that's all I can comment from my memory.
All right. Joint powers agreement. For road naming.
So, Kevin Trapp from, the GIS department down in Beltrami County shared with me the sample joint powers agreement. This is not something that's gonna come probably in the next 3 months. It's probably gonna be year end by the time they have it drafted. This is sample language. At this time, the county does not have GPAs with other local governments as to how they handle naming and numbering roads and service areas. Most places, if you are building a new house and having a new, driveway put in and you need to have it numbered, you apply for that authorization through the county and you as the individual pay for it. As a government, what will happen in our city is if something needs to get numbered, we make the application to the county through my administration. This county does not charge us for it. So they're working on putting together language that will be specific for each local government within Beltrami County.
That's gonna take a while.
And it might take a little bit, but it is something that's on their to-do list that they'd like to see, because right now it's all individualized between the county and townships, the county and cities.
Cause I'm looking at this with the legacy addressing area.
Yeah.
And, if you're grandfathered in as your address, so you can't change it or.
So, yeah, nothing would change the way everything is numbered now, Max. This is just how that agreement on what shared services
Sure.
are done in the future.
In other words, paint your own sidewalks.
When I get a final draft, I'll share it with
Yeah,
council.
that's. Okay. Does anybody have anything else? Melissa?
Just wanted to give everybody kind of a rundown. We had a problem with our walk-in cooler over this last week. So it was one of those, couldn't postpone to get fixed. So I'm just bringing it to everybody's knowledge now. So when you see at the works or at the council meeting, you ask why there's this bill for like $7,000. It's to fix the air compressor on the walk-in cooler. So this way we don't have to pull our, if you have questions about it right now, we can answer that, so it doesn't get to be something going forward. I know we need to go and get approval, but happened in the middle of the month, so we had to jump on the situation to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
How old is that in one anyway?
Cooler,
Are you talking about the
not the
pond?
new one,
Okay,
Not the
not
new
the
beer
beer
cooler.
cave.
the one that
that's the
you're,
one.
the one that you're using for your
Yes, the
food.
existing one.
Okay,
I think
Been there when the building was erected in
Uh,
1980.
this is actually, we had water damage in that original beer cooler back in like 12 or 13, because it
Yeah.
happened just before I started. It was an insurance claim, something went out and it caused a lot of damage. I believe the air compressor was repaired or replaced at that time.
Yes,
So it's X years old there.
you're looking at
15.
about 13
Yeah,
year old
almost 15 years old.
compressor or outdoor unit to cool it.
yep,
Okay.
okay.
But the big question is, did we lose any product?
We did not.
Because we had to fix it soon enough.
We were able to get on top of it
Yeah.
and get it, I mean, we didn't lose anything. Obviously, things got a little warm, but we've had the beer companies that have come through to assess everything, and the product, everything is still good. So we had no loss of product or anything like that.
And Nailers repaired that, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
All right,
yes, they fixed that this morning for us. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up when you see that, our statement next, council meeting,
Thank you.
you have that. What the? So yeah, just giving you a heads up that when you see that, that's what it's for.
all right. Anything else?
Not that I can think of, other than we're still serving breakfast and it's going fairly well.
How was bingo?
I say anything.
It was crazy.
That was very busy.
Yeah, it's too busy for me.
How
I
many
can't.
empty tables were there?
Zero.
None.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had them parked out back behind us.
There was zero. Anyway,
Right?
And the fish fry, they've heard, probably went from the fish fry.
they went
They
fish
did,
fry
the pond.
and right
Yep.
to the pond.
So any other questions or any concerns or anything for me?
Yeah, how many people did they have, do you know, Miss?
550.
A lot of people. Is that a good year, do you know that? That's a good, like,
It's about the same.
Okay.
We had $8,500 that averaged out, I think they said 15, whatever a person, so. Some people don't put any money in the boat and some people drop condos, so.
That's the way it goes.
Nice. Motion to adjourn.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned. So,
Fish and beer going hand in hand.
Yeah.
What's that?
Fish and beer